Yo, we're having a pie-tastic day over here. But before we go any further, let's dig in. Yo, crypto nation and mining family. Crypto nation and mining family, what's going on? Of course, like always, it's not financial advice. Yo, crypto nation and mining family, what's going on? Yeah, you guys saw it right there. That was a pie. But, you know, before you get any further, if you'd like to support this channel just a little bit, you can catch some cool hats like that over at hotrodmining.com. Yo, so check it out. You can get all your mining essentials from hats like this one. Yo, some shirts, some awesome shirts, some jackets. Yo, and of course, what would a mining website be without at least some kind of PC equipment, right? Now, Shopify doesn't like to have full-blown mining equipment, so I had to limit what I have on here so that I didn't get in any trouble, because I do have mining in my name. So guys, if you'd like to support the channel, stop on down. Yo. So, before I get involved with that pie, you know, there's also been some really good hardware that's going to be coming out very soon here. Got some of that newer 5500 XT series. This one's from ASRock. Nothing really special about it. One thing I do like on this, and I hope it improves cooling a little bit, is that they unblock part of the radiator to allow air to escape from the back side of the PCB, but also the PCB is really short on these things. So, with that being said, you know, shorter PCB, they do have a lower target power wattage rate, so the temperature overall should be lower. Should have some pretty decent performances without thermal throttling, unlike the 5700 series where they're being plagued with thermal throttling issues. And you guys all know I do like my Gigabyte cards. The triple fan variants, they always work beautifully in my opinion. It's not the ones for Apple. The Apple ones were the ones that had the overclock done on them a little bit further. So unfortunately, if you want that particular one, you'll have to get a Crapple product. So that's all on you. I will not recommend getting any of that stuff. I mean, me personally, I'm not even looking at these AMD cards. They're pretty much worthless for mining. And, you know, it's like the profitability on these cards are going to be way down compared to what they were a year ago. So until the market comes up on some of these memory-based algorithms, I'm not going to run out and grab any of these cards. They do not interest me at all. Especially, you know, Monero forked, so it's all CPU mineable now. You can mine it with a GPU like this, but you're going to spend more electricity trying to compete with more efficient hardware. So just kind of keep that in mind. Not saying that these will be bad for gaming. If you're wanting a pure AMD gaming rig, go for it. AMD cards, they're not bad. They really are not. I just have a preference for NVIDIA. That's just me. Until AMD starts making a GPU that will at least compete in the same category as NVIDIA. Right now, NVIDIA kind of dominates it, especially in mining, guys. If you guys are wanting to get into mining, I would recommend, it's just my own personal recommendations that I do myself. Not financial advice in any way, shape, or form. But NVIDIA would be the better option to go with. If you're on a budget, if you can find a 1070 Ti for cheap, cool. Otherwise, take a look at the 1660 Ti's, like the one that I have behind me, which is the ROG Strix Edition back here. They will perform better than these cards, hands down, even in gaming mode. So If you're wanting to make just a pure AMD rig, that's one thing. But if you're just looking for a workstation, then I would be doing AMD CPUs like the Threadripper or something like that. Not the new Threadripper unless you want to spend that kind of money. But like a first or second gen Threadripper with a a 1080 in there, baller. You will have no issues with your PC, I swear. But that again comes down to it's just me. And talking about AMD, it looks like they are coming out with a new adrenaline boost. Since they have, it was based on HiveOS boost technology. It was something that company that they acquired a few years back. According to this article, it looks like they acquired HiveOS about 3 years ago, and they are using their boosting technology for their Radeon software. Be pretty interesting to see if that gets the core boost to perform like an NVIDIA. I won't hold my breath on that one. It's not something that I've seen NVIDIA really go after as their high-end, NVIDIA's high-end market. It looks like AMD would like to concentrate on the low-tier to mid-tier marketplace, which great place to be. A lot of people operate in there, and usually that's where I'm at, that mid-tier. Anything in that mid-tier lineup, if it's on sale, dude, I usually grab it. But that's just me. But they're talking about bringing out new boosting software. Hopefully that will work for gaming on them and give them a new edge for gaming. Or I would love to see if that adrenaline software actually gives it hash rates. Because that's what my main focus is trying to get as much hash rate as possible. But talking about hash rate, have you guys been checking out that Monero? I have just a little bit, doing some testing on there, seeing what my maximum hash rate that I can achieve on that Monero. Something like this, guys. So if you see down here, this is the Threadripper. I'm getting 3.5 kilohash a second with it. Now I am pulling video with this, so as I'm pulling video, of course, it's rendering in the CPU a little bit. So a little bit of the process of my CPU is going to making this video, because I'm still mining Monero on purpose. But if you see here, I have 3 Celeron chips. So I believe this one, yeah. So this one is a 3950, and then these are 3900 and a 3930. So you can kind of see that the hash rate comes in right where it should be. Considering that these are basically Intel chips, the hash rate is just not there. Considering that Monero is basically utilizing the memory allocation of RAM, and AMD does memory way better than Intel. Intel's more of the hot rod, and AMD is more like the pickup truck. So just kind of keep that in mind, that with Monero, it looks like they did the tides of turning on there. And guys, do you see this? Do you see this? Yes, guys, this here is a pi4. Bump, bump, bump. Check it out. So that thing, let me get this around my mic. That pi4, that thing right there, I got it hardwired in for maximum hash rate. That thing right there, the Pi, look at that, it's a Pi. And see if my camera will focus in. Come on. It's pulling come on, focus. Doesn't want to go so close. Oh, come on. We'll just do it like this and then bring it back. There we go. So we are pulling just under 1 amp at 5 watts. A grand total of 5 whole watts at less than 1 amp. Dude, that's pretty cool. Let's get you back up over here, because, yeah, bam. So, guys, that pi4 is pulling 116 hashes a second. Oh my gosh, at 5 whole watts. And you want to see the dashboard on that? So, this one here, you can tell, is my PC that I'm recording all this on right now. And I can go into here, and there's a command for if you want to see your hash rate right now. You can just press the letter H once you've clicked on the window, and bam, shows you hash rate. So with me pulling video, it has dropped my hash rate a lot. So it's right now it's pulling 2,608 hashes a second. And I can go ahead and here's the window for the Pi. And I can do the same thing here. Press H for the hash rate. Bam. And you can see what each one of the cores are doing individually. And I can kind of set these aside. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Side by side action this a little bit. So you can see that we got less cores on the Pi. We've got 4 cores on the Pi versus 8 on my Threadripper. Typically, whenever I'm not pulling video, the Threadripper, each core is a little over 400 hashes a second. So each core pulls like 1 Intel CPU with dual core activation on it. So you can definitely tell the AMD is way more efficient. But check that out, guys. 98 to 100 hash at 5 whole watts. If you guys are probably wondering how did I get it set up on here, I'm gonna make a whole full tutorial on all the command lines that I had used. So definitely stay tuned on that one, guys. If you're wanting to get a Pi up on there, like you got a Pi sitting around, I bought a Pi just to do this experiment. That's all this was. At the end of the day, it was just an experiment for me. So definitely, and whenever you go on the pool side, I always tell people plus or minus 5% of what your hash rate is on the miner side. So right now, she's hashing a little harder than what the miner is actually saying that it should be. And you can also see here, since I've pulled video, the hash rate dropped. It does take it a minute for the hash rate to actually register on pool side. So it can take up to 5 to 20 minutes for hash rate to come back down after you turn something off. So it's actually not uncommon to turn something off and see it still looking like it hashes for the next 20 to 30 minutes. I'm just saying. And I do have a little update on Hive. So you guys know that as you guys saw on the miner side, you can see that here, AMD clean build test station, right? These are my Hive rigs. So right here is my AMD test bench. So I've got all AMDs here, and I have it on that Ethereum Classic, right? Running with that Phoenix miner. Phoenix miner runs very well on that F-hash algorithm with AMDs or NVIDIAs. I've been using that as my my go-to. They've definitely have their timing straps and arguments set properly for Linux, which that's what Hive runs off of, is Linux. But if you see here, I am not running XMR rig. On Hive, I was actually having a huge issue with keeping my CPU on Monero. And what I mean by that is that every, like anywhere from 5 minutes to a couple of hours, it would randomly switch over to Loki. I don't have a Loki address loaded into my miner. I'm not mining on a Loki pool. I'm pointing my rigs at a Monero pool. So, I mean, that same pool, they do have a Loki pool in there, but I'm not pointing my rigs at it. I'm pointing it at a Monero pool. And to see it switch over to Loki while it's supposed to be mining Monero means that I'm wasting electricity. That meant that every time it shut off, I was just burning power for nothing. And as a miner, you don't want to waste power and you don't want to waste your time. Basically XMR rig on Hive is both a waste of time and a waste of power, because of the fact that it kept on randomly switching over. So what I ended up doing was I checked out XMR stack, and whenever I was using XMR rig, it would only load up one core, versus like on here you see the 2 cores. So that was also another issue. So I was actually losing hash rate on top of this. So not only was it randomly switching over to Loki and wasting my electricity, but I was missing almost 200 hash a second. That is big. So I set it up over onto XMR stack, and it has been over a day now. It has not switched over to Loki one time, so it seems like XMR stack for Hive is very stable, guys. So if you're wanting to mine Monero, this would be the way that I would do it. And you can go in before you sit there and do all that stuff. I would go into here. There is a couple of things you want to set up first. First off, you hover over the eye next to where it says huge pages, and you'll see that it says a number in blue. You click it and it puts that right here automatically for you. Then you just scroll on down to here, and you see CPU config override. So basically you have to set some of the argument for the so that it mines properly on the CPU. It will mine on the CPU without setting this argument, but you don't have the hash rate. So again, you hover over the eye, and you can sit there and see that it's got CPU thread configuration. Click on this. Do not click on this unless you're wanting to limit the amount of cores. If you're just wanting to let it mine on all the cores, do not click on this, and then just kind of move on. And you can sit there, apply the changes on there, and then update, and happy mining. You'll be able to come up over here, and you can see that for the last day, it is mining Loki. Monero instead of Loki. Very stable. Before, whenever I was on XMR rig, it was choppy. You would see Loki coming on and off. It was just a nightmare. And I had actually stopped the mining Monero for a little bit until I could figure out a better way to get this to function properly. So that's whenever I checked out XMR stack, and life's been very happy. And if you guys notice, I do have this like update on here. Oh, it looks like they got a new one. The last update was 12.07. It wouldn't update. It wouldn't work whatsoever. Looks like this new one isn't really fixing too much that I need to worry about. Nonce Pro. Yeah, so sometimes you don't have to worry about all the updates for Hive, and I'm not going to either. You do see that my latency on the rig up here, which is the time it takes to submit a share. So the higher the number of latency, the less likely you're going to have stale shares and stuff like that. Whenever I am not mining Monero on the CPU, I've got almost no latency on this particular rig. All this latency is coming from the fact that the core is mining a little bit, and I am mining on it full tilt to see what it does, testing purposes. So guys, if you have any questions or comments about mining on Monero with their RandomX, actually did not show this aspect, so I forgot to switch screen over. Oh, I'm explaining stuff on here and it's not there. So, like I was saying, the latency up here, the latency is really high. You're getting stale shares. And if you notice that there's no more Loki coming up on here, so hallelujah, right? So if you guys have any comments or questions like that, certainly drop some comments in down below. While you guys are down there, definitely smash that Lizzie like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and all that good stuff. And if you were wondering how to get yourself to mine on your Raspberry Pi, note to self that you got to have a pi4 to do this, so that you've got enough memory in there. It needs 4 gigs of memory. So as long as you guys have a pi4 and you want to know how to mine on there, stay tuned, guys. I'm going to have a full tutorial on that coming up next. Yo!